Kings, welcome back to the channel. Today we have AKs. Mikhail Kalashnikov's gift to this earth. The gun's made out of Babushka's very own pot. Ingenuity and simplicity, all in one. Specifically today we have the Rifle Dynamics RD500 Quick Hatch. This is an AK74 chambered in 5.45 by 39. It comes with a 9-inch barrel and a collapsible stock. Rifle Dynamics is best known for being associated with Jim Fuller, who is an AK making god. He separated ways from Rifle Dynamics when he sold to them. He worked for them a little bit longer and then went on to make his own company, Fuller Phoenix, out of Phoenix. But originally, Jim Fuller did found Rifle Dynamics and sold it to his business partner. And they continue to make some of the highest quality AKs, USA-made AKs on the market. So we'll work on this thing going from the tip to the butt. So I can kind of pay attention and work in order. So this one has a Chemo from Dead Air as the muzzle device. They are threaded in 1/2 by 28, so any standard muzzle device, AR muzzle device will work on this, and you can run them on a 5.56 can. The math works. This one is vulcanized on the end. I attempted to take it off and boil it off because I assume that it's probably rock set on there. However, it absolutely refused to come off. So I was going to run this suppressed for the video. I wasn't able to just because I wasn't able to get this off with the tools that I had, and I didn't want to damage the firearm. So we ran it unsuppressed. When you work your way down, it has a 9-inch barrel. The 9-inch barrel is forged out of 4150 CRMOV steel. So it's a pretty decent barrel. It's not chrome lined or anything, but it is a respectable barrel. These are all made out of a Polish forged commercial AK kit. Rifle Dynamics sources these. They put them through their QC, and these are the kits that they use to manufacture this. The rail that's around this barrel is a collaboration between Rifle Dynamics and OCAM Defense. This also came with their sights that I pulled off because there's fairly minimal rail space. You can additionally get OCAM Defense's dust cover with Picatinny on it as well to give you a little bit more rail space, although it's like an extra $600 and some. It adds a fair chunk, and the one I got did not have that optioned out on it. These are a stamped receiver set, and Rifle Dynamics makes sure to take good effort in using the proper gunsmithing techniques to put these receivers together. So not only do they hand fit these, as really any built AK is, they also dimple the receivers. They'll basically hold themselves together without any of the rivets. Basically the dimpling is they use a conical ram in the receiver here, and they create what almost looks like a machined, although it's not machined, it's just pressed in, a divot where everything kind of pins together, just clicks together, and then they run the rivets in. The correct form when dimpling your receivers is to use a swell neck rivet. It has a little more material around the neck, and that gives you the most contact on your rivet when you set those rivets in place. And to their credit, Rifle Dynamics does do this. If you look on their website, they actually have a really cool section in their blogs section that goes over the details of how they put those together. It's just one of the extra little touches that makes this AK slightly above some of the other manufacturers. There are other fantastic ones as well. Another really cool thing that they do up here on the top end is they have an adjustable gas block. So you can adjust the gas whether you're running this thing suppressed or unsuppressed. Although, even if you are running it suppressed, these things come gassed really nice from the get-go. Having shot quite a few other AKs, one thing I noticed about shooting this is that this thing is gassed very properly. Granted, I did not shoot this suppressed, but I did not have to mess with the gas block in any way, shape, or form. It ran very well, and then very little gas to the face. In fact, really none. You're not going to be crying in front of your homies when you're shooting this one. One of the ways that they achieve this really nice gassing out of this gun is they run a custom piston in this rifle. So they manufacture their own piston, and it moves the gas block further back. It moves the gas block so much further back that it basically puts the gas block in equivalent 2 times further back than what would be the equivalent on a barrel length of a crank. So you have 2 times more barrel in between the end of your barrel and your gas block.
We fire the whole bullet. That's 65% more bullet per bullet.
allowing for more dwell time and allowing for a better gassed rifle overall. Now, I'm not the biggest AK connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. I know a little bit about him. I'm by no means no Jim Fuller or 1/100th of what he is. That being said though, I can really appreciate what this gun has put together. Moving further down, the safety on this has their safety pin on it. Unlike some AKs, this really moves up and down very smooth and does not take a lot of effort. On some AKs, I've noticed that this is an incredibly stiff feature. This one is really nice. The action itself is very smooth. Normally, it feels like you're taking a bag of bolts and moving them back and forth, and it doesn't feel very refined. Now, granted, this is still an AK, and it doesn't feel like the most refined piece of machinery that you're going to hold in your hands, but compared to a lot of others that I've held, the action on this thing feels very smooth and more machined in comparison. It also sounds really slick. For the trigger, they use an LBE Unlimited G3 AK trigger, which is a standard, nice higher end AK trigger. It has a fair amount of pull. We'll go ahead and ghost this. There's a little bit of creep, not really any jitteriness or rigidness to it, but there's just a little bit of a pull. The reset, same way. It creeps out a little bit, but there's no grinding, there's no metal on metal that you feel that's just abrasive. It's very smooth. And I'd probably put the pull somewhere around 5 to 6 pounds if I had to take a guess. Probably closer to that 5 mark. But it is a very good feeling trigger. It resets nicely and you can run it pretty quick. They have a slightly larger than average mag release on this, and it allows for pretty nice manipulation when you go to drop your mags out. Moving all the way to the back, they have a Midwest Industries 1913 rail adapted folding stock so that you can put whatever configuration of folding stock that you want on it. You can run SIGs for like the MPX, you can run some of the Zenitco stuff with adapters, but on the back of the trunnion there is a 1913 rail, so you can run any type of configuration of whatever adapter you need or whatever stock comes factory with the or whatever folder comes factory with the 1913 clamp. They'll clamp right onto your rear trunnion and you can use. So on the back of this one on the Midwest Industries, they have, obviously you don't have any buffer spring in there, so they have a little bit of storage.
It's free real estate.
Nice little O-ring seal. You can keep some extra parts in there, batteries, whatever you want. Stick something in there, keep it from rattling around. Or you can throw your brace or your stock if you have this SVR on there. So shooting this thing, I found it really pleasant, very easy to run. I would say that the recoil impulse is fairly similar to that of like a Mark 18, except a little bit less gas. It shoots pretty smooth, pretty flat, although it's still a 9-inch 5.45, so it's going to be a little more violent than something a little bit longer. It's fairly easy to keep on target, although it does take a little bit of work on the shooter's part. Now for the rest of the accessories, we have a Surefire light. We have a Zenitco Burst 4 infrared laser and illuminator and green laser on this for an aiming device, and we're running a lead and steel Prometheon LP1 for a red dot on this. And I've actually really come to like this optic. I may do a video on it later. In this configuration, this thing's really slick actually. With the stock folded, it comes in at roughly 22 inches of length, and it makes it a really slick little truck gun. Now, you'll see in the video, I ran into some issues with the ammunition. Now, I got some bulk ammunition, Wolf, steel, I got some Red Army, steel as well, and then for some of the nicer rounds, I was shooting some Hornady Defense black. They were all 60 grains. This thing with the cheaper ammunition wouldn't group worth a damn. Trying to hit a 2/3 IPSC at 200 yards is virtually impossible. This thing was throwing rounds all over the place with steel. However, when you do run some nicer brass, more match grade ammunition through it, it does tighten up quite a bit. Now, this thing isn't going to be a 1 MOA gun ever. I don't know any AK that's going to be, but I would say with the brass, this thing would run roughly somewhere in the neighborhood between 2 and 3, maybe 3.5 at absolutely most. It's not fantastic, but it is enough that you can put rounds on a human-sized target out to 200 and 300 yards, no issues, when you're running a better ammunition. Now the problem with 545 is that a lot of ammunition that's manufactured there's been legislation put in place for imports, and it's a little difficult to get, and when you do get it, you do have to pay. Even the steel ammunition I got was somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 plus cents a round. I want to say it was even closer to 70. And the Hornady rounds were well over $1. This thing is not a very cheap gun to feed when you compare it to something like a short barrel 5.56 gun. Really the only benefit it has over an AR, in my opinion, would be the folding stock, but you can overcome that with something like a BRN 180 or a Spear LT, for example, which we'll have a video coming up on a Spear LT here pretty soon. Overall, this thing was it's a very fun gun and a very pleasant gun to shoot. It definitely has its place. I think the hardest thing for me to stomach on this definitely is the price point. So this rifle here, in its configuration without lights and optics, and with the iron sights that comes on it, comes in at $3,775 currently. That is just shy of $4,000 for what is still an AK-47, and you're only going to be able to get so much performance out of one at the end of the day. It does offer a different shooting experience, and it's not unpleasant at all. It is just different than what I'm used to as I typically shoot an AR platform. If you get one of these with the 1913 rail dust cover, it brings that total price point of over $4,000. I think something closer to $4,300, $4,350. That is an astronomical amount of money to spend on an AK. That gets you really close into like SR25 range. That's granted, that is a completely different platform with a completely different purpose, but just for comparison, if you want to get yourself into a Spear LT, for example, in terms of machining and in the quality of parts, I don't know that a Spear LT is quite that of this, and I may get some heat for saying that, but you will have a tighter group shooting rifle at the end of the day. For the Spear LT comes in, I think, at about $2,500, so not quite half, but damn near half. And there are a lot of other AK manufacturers out there that do an awesome job of putting one together at a lower price point. However, with Rifle Dynamics, you do get some of that autistic level attention to detail that really does come to show when you really start to look this thing down. Some of it does show in the feeling of this rifle, especially the gassing. I do want to emphasize how well this rifle is gassed. It is gassed incredibly well. It is easily the best gas AK I've ever had my hands on, although it is a limited number I have had my hands on. At the end of the day, I think this is a really awesome option. If you really like AKs and you really want the highest end of what's available, I do think that this is a fantastic option if you're willing to spend the money and fork it out. It is really nice that these are all assembled in the United States. The companies that they've worked with in order to provide accessories and other parts for it are also US-based manufacturers. If you want to keep your money US and support American jobs and support autists that enjoy getting the absolute most performance out of a platform, Rifle Dynamics is an awesome option to go with. You just have to be willing to pay for it, and they are very proud of their product, and rightfully so. I think in conclusion, this is a fantastic rifle to shoot. It's a very pleasant experience, and it is a hilariously fun gun to run. That being said though, I don't know that if this is one I plan to keep for a long period of time, just for the sake of I'm not super familiar with this platform. You have to wake up and choose every day to make whatever dreams you have come true. So push yourself, do the hard things, make it happen.